Have you spent all winter waking up at the crack of dawn, lacing up your sneakers, and trudging through the sleet and snow in the bitter cold to prepare for the Boston Marathon? Me neither. But luckily, here in New England, the marathon is also a spectator sport and one of the best days the city has to offer. But for the uninitiated, it could be a logistical nightmare. Preparation is critical, so listen up. 2024 marks the 128th Boston Marathon. It's the oldest in the world, dating back to 1897, excluding the first ever marathon created for the modern Olympic Games in Athens, Greece. More on the Greeks in a second. The marathon falls on Patriots Day. And if you're not local, Patriots Day might not ring a bell. Here's the Cliff Notes. Back in 1775, this North End kid, Paul Revere, hopped on his horse in the middle of the night and took off running to warn a bunch of farmers in Lexington and Concord that the British Army was coming in hot. A few hours later, those farmers started a fight that you and me call the American Revolution. So around here, the third Monday of April is Patriots Day. On average, the Boston Marathon brings out about 500,000 spectators and a whole lot of road closures. So rule number 1, put the car keys away and get an early start. The race kicks off at 9:37 a.m. in Hopkinton, Mass. If you know someone running and want to see them, the 10K mark in Framingham is probably your best bet. Crowds are manageable and it's right next to the commuter rail. Plus, it's early enough to catch a train and see them run again further down the course. Rule number 2, pick your spot. Here's a few to keep in mind. Around the halfway mark is the Scream Tunnel in Wellesley, Heartbreak Hill in Newton, and you also can't go wrong with Boston College or Cleveland Circle. All of these are close to a T-stop. And say what you want about the MBTA, but for better or worse, it's your best bet to navigate around the 26.2-mile course. 26.2 miles. That seems like an arbitrary number, right? Well, remember those Greeks we mentioned earlier at the first Olympics in Athens? Back in 1896, they were thinking up a long-run competition. Turns out the Greeks also had a guy who warned their people about an invading army all the way back in 490 BC. Except his name wasn't Paul, it was Phidippides. And it wasn't the British, it was the Persians. And he didn't have a horse. So Phidippides ran 26.2 miles from the plains of Marathon all the way to Athens, where he announced a victory over the Persian army. The Persian army has nothing on the size of the crowds on Marathon Monday in Boston. So the chances of getting close to the finish line to see the winner are slim. The best spot in the city is west of Kenmore Square. It's about a mile from the finish line, and the atmosphere next door to Fenway Park is electric. Which brings me to rule number 3, and the best way to take in Marathon Monday. The Sox play at Fenway on race day every year. It's a tradition. And if you want the best marathon experience, go ahead and grab a ticket to the game. Ticket demand is high, so don't worry about finding the best seat. Just get in a Fenway, grab a beer and a dog, kick back, and enjoy. It's a long day for a spectator. It's not a sprint. So stay loose, stretch out, and stay hydrated.